guys, welcome back to my podcast. We are in bed. Oh, cozy. I love being in bed. It's honestly my favorite place to be. And I changed my sheets. They are sage green with a little beige moment, and they are a muslin cloth, and I really like them. Okay, I feel like it's totally full vibes and I am in my element. I also darkened my hair. So I'm telling you, I am on the road to becoming a goth, okay? Today we are going to speak about, ironically, shutting the fucking door. Because my first episode, I spoke about how I love to keep the doors open. Okay, little did I know that was gonna bite me in my tush. I have never been the type to cut a person off, to shut the door, to block, to da-da-da-da-da. I still don't really believe in the whole blocking thing. I do think it's quite dramatic, but you gotta be able to block them mentally, right? And I have always struggled with that, and I've always just felt so much comfort in leaving doors open. I assume it's to do with some childhood issues and whatnot, because they usually are. But I really realized, Amara, like, I preach so much about, you know, not letting things disturb my peace and not letting opinions of others like disturb you and blah, 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 blah. But by me keeping these doors open, I am literally consistently disturbing my peace because I'm allowing things to come in and bite me, you know, like a little venomous snake. Just give me a little jab. And it's horrible. So I've had to learn the hard way. And this is what today's episode is going to be about. All right. Ultimately, nothing that is truly meant for you will require you to betray yourself in order to achieve it. And I feel like with me keeping doors open, it's entailed me lowering my standards. It's entailed me keeping my mouth shut to keep the peace. But a big thing I learned is, like, you know, you're told to keep your mouth shut to keep the peace, but whose peace are you actually keeping at the end of the day? And I've had so many situations in my life where I have not been willing to speak up for myself because I've just wanted to keep the peace. But then you actually resent yourself when you do that. And I once had this life coach that like changed my life, and he spoke to me about anger and how anger is actually one of the healthiest emotions to have within you, because it's a pure reaction emotion. It's not like guilt or shame that are byproducts of anger. He really like made me realize that feeling of anger is a healthy thing. But you know, this whole keep calm and carry on stuff, it basically just encourages us all to suppress our anger. And then he was talking about the 4 types of anger, and I believe it was, you have the aggressive anger that just comes out in aggression. Then you have the passive anger, which is the anger that scares me the most, because passive people terrify me. You know, passive aggressive comments and things like that terrifies me. Then you have the sassy, bitchy anger. So again, that comes out in like the snidey remarks. And then you have the assertive anger. And assertive anger is, you know, just being really assertive with how you feel and having that strong, clear boundary. And that's definitely something I've been working on because, again, this whole thing of me keeping the peace and being so chill. And I do naturally feel like quite a chill person, and I try to not let everything affect me. However, there have been instances where I just haven't spoken up for what I believe is right for myself. And then it turns into the sassy bitchiness or the little pettiness that comes out here and there, or just overall resenting myself for not keeping my peace. And the power of shutting the door, I preach a lot on like my TikTok and things about how important it is to, you know, keep your peace and to not let negative people affect you and da-da-da-da-da. But by me leaving all these doors open, I realized I have actually been the one disturbing my peace, because by not being able to shut these doors and having the strength within myself to be like, this is over. This isn't for me. This doesn't make me feel good. and I don't want to give my energy to it anymore. By not having the strength in doing that, I allow breadcrumbs. It's like I allow myself to go, a couple steps forward, and then something will happen and I'll get sucked back in. And that's not healthy or good. And that was like a really big realization that I have learned in these last couple of weeks, because I was just like, I've got to learn to shut these doors, and I've got to stop being so scared to lock the key and throw it away. I saw this quote, and it really sung to me. Not even spoke, it really, really sung to me. It says, "It's not only scary to set boundaries because of how others might react, it's scary to set boundaries because we have to grow into the type of person who stands by those boundaries and feels worthy of them." That's quite scary to me, because I know that the woman I envision myself to be, okay, she's a lot stronger than the woman I am now. She's like a lot more cutthroat, and she kind of scares and intimidates me, because it's so not in my nature. Like, I have an ex-boyfriend that I'm very, very close with. He's like one of my best friends, but he always says to me, he's like, "You're too nice. Like, you've got to be a bitch." I find it funny because I see him in his situations that he's in, and I'm like, well, that's what you get for being with a bitch. But I need to find the fine line between myself, because it's not that I'm too nice, it's that I am too naive, right? I struggle thinking about how a person can wrong me, because I assume that everyone acts like myself, right? So schemers and bitches and liars and da-da-da-da. I really struggle with fathoming a person could be like that, because it's such a foreign concept to me. But the harsh reality is, I think it's like, 1 in 10 people, if even 1 in 10 people, are a pure-hearted person looking for a pure transaction, because everything in life is a transaction. No matter whether you want something from it or not, you naturally take from what you give anyways, right? But there's a very little amount of people that actually are just genuine. And it's really, really sad. I wish that wasn't the case, but that's why I guess I am too nice, because I find it hard to believe, that people aren't the same way. But then I've been getting told, especially this year, especially like this is probably this last year or last 2 years, probably been the year that I've experienced people and men more than I ever have in my life. I'm 24, and I've had I've gone through quite a lot when it comes to men specifically, and when it comes to female relationships and friendships. It's very hard finding someone on the same wavelength. And I think an issue that I've had as well is, I'll go on dates and I'll be like, yeah, I connected with him so well. But Amara, what does that even mean? I could literally connect with a rock. I don't find it hard speaking or connecting with people. So I'm actually trying to understand within myself, like, okay, does this guy make me feel good? Or am I giving him more of me, which is making me feel good? Do you know what I'm trying to say? I don't think I'm making sense here. You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying. It's like I feel like because I give so much, I get back anyways, but it's actually just coming from myself. So I'm trying to be like way more aware of where my niceness goes and where my energy goes, because it's hard to know if it's going to the right person or not. And only time tells. Only time tells. I'll give you guys a little story time. I was in a situationship that was great at the time, was great for what I knew it to be and for the guy that I thought he was, okay? But the issue with situationships, right, they're almost a lot harder to walk away from, because nothing's ever clear. It's all over the place. And I wish situationships just didn't exist. I can understand where the "what are we" conversation has come from, even though, God forbid, I ever have to have that conversation with a guy, because I think it's cringe. But I understand why, there's the need to have the "what are we" conversation, because you get to a point where you're like, So what the fuck are we doing? This is the issue with the situationships, is it's just one big blurry mess. I get it, because there's been times where it's like, I don't want a boyfriend, but I like you and I don't want another girl touching you. If guys are flirting with me, obviously I will flirt with them back because I'm not committed to you. It's sick. It's sick. I hate to admit it. It's sick. I get the benefits of it, but it's foul. Okay. And so I was in this situationship, whatever, and it ended pretty wackadoodle-doo, okay, because of some certain things that I found out in a very weird way, but that's a story for another time. And anyways, I, stood on business, and I was like, no, done, you've hurt me too much, I can't come back from this, blah, 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 blah. So I sent him on his way, and then a month later, it was really hard. Like, I went through the motions, and guys and girls have very different emotions when it comes to breaking up and the timeline, and girls always tend to struggle more at the beginning just because we're not as good as suppressing or hiding our emotions and all that kind of stuff. And anyways, 3 to 4 weeks into this, like, no speaking and stuff, I lost it. Like, I missed him so much. I was crying every night. I forgot about the whole list of things that were mid to bad behavior that I do not deserve. I forgot about all of them. They all went out the window, and all I could see was this shiny golden boy that I was obsessed with, okay? Because it's like it becomes a drug. Like, I couldn't understand what was my heart saying, what was my head saying. I just couldn't get it. And then I reached out to him, and I was like, we can, like, let's just forget all of this happened. Like, I loved what we had. I loved that we just, like, had our vibe and da-da-da-da-da, and, like, that was what my head was telling me, but that was not what my heart was telling me. My heart was like, you want him, but you're not going to get the behavior you deserve, but you still want him, so you're going to do this and you're going to make yourself look like a fool. Absolutely. I did it. And in that, a very precious lesson came, okay? Anything that's meant for you will never require you to betray yourself, okay? I betrayed myself in that moment because I knew for a fact I deserved more. He was a great guy in terms of a guy, okay? But in terms of a partner, potential boyfriend, all these kinds of things, the behavior, like, he was not capable, okay? And I knew it was not the behavior I deserved. I deserve so much better than that. And I know it, but in the moment of wanting him so bad, I was willing to put my wants and needs and self-worth, like, way, way below. And in that, I betrayed myself. And it happened a couple of times because breadcrumbing, back and forthing, and all this kind of stuff. And I kept getting sucked into it because sometimes, unfortunately, every girl has this as well. You always have a guy that has a hold of you, until they don't, But there is a time where you will feel like this guy has a hold on you. You don't know how to do it. They have all the power and it sucks. But you will get through that because you will reach a point where you will never go back again because you're so exhausted by it. Like, the blinkers are off. You see the person for what they are. And it's like the biggest reality check. For me, it came after I dibble-dabbled back and forth way too many times. And I betrayed myself way too many times. But I got there in the end. It was a really eye-opening in terms of, like, Amara, close the door. Close the door and walk away, because there's no need to keep doors open if they consistently disturb your peace. But these, like, you just put them on this pedestal that they should have never been on. And it's very, very normal, but shut the door, okay? I learned it the hard way, and I want you girlies to learn from my mistakes. So please, shut the door and strut away, okay? Okay. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you all in my next episode next week. Alrighty, toodles!